Welcome to the course C#.NET Programming. In this video, we are going to see how to create an ASP.NET web application along with operator overloading concept. To start the demo, I am going to use the environment as the Visual Studio. So once it is loaded, you select the ASP.NET web application. So I am clicking the Create New Project. In that, I am selecting with the ASP.NET web application. Click Next. I just give the name as web application with operator overloading. Then I'm going to create an empty web application. And now the project get created. So this demo, I'm going to create a complex number object. And I'm going to do the operator overloading for complex number addition, subtraction, and also with the comparison operators. So now the project get open. So we have to add a web form. So just go to add the web form. So the new web form get created. So in this I have to go with the design part. So I need two complex numbers. So in order to have that, I'm going to have two labels and two text box. So label is here, just drag and drop, and then I have one text box. So text box is here, and similarly I need another one label and text box. And to get the second number, label text box, and then I'm going to add a button. So I go to the source and then I'm going to change the values of the labels. First one is the complex number real, the first complex numbers real part, and the second one is first complex number imaginary part, and here it is second complex number real part, and here it is second complex number imaginary part. Followed by you have a button. So the button has to perform with the addition operation. So I am going to use the plus operator. So once the result comes, either you can display it in a label or a text box, or you can display in the pop-up message box. So now I go to my design. So design having all the components. So now we have to write the button click. So during the button click, it is expected you have to get the input through the text box. Normally you do it in the console application. So I'm going to get the first complex numbers real part. So R1 is equal to the first text box. So int dot parse. I'm going to take from the first text box. So after that, take the imaginary part, that is from the second text box. So after taking this, I'm going to work with the third text box, that is taking the real number of the second complex number. So int dot parse text box 3.text, and after doing that, the last one, that is the imaginary part of the second complex number. So int.parse text box 4.text. So now all inputs are ready. Now we have to create a class complex which is going to handle the real and imaginary and also the operator overloading concept. So now we have to write a class. So within the same namespace, before the web form class, create a class called as complex. So this complex class having two members, that is, one is the real number and another one is the imaginary number, that component of the complex numbers. Now we have a constructor. So public complex, pass the two inputs, A and B, and that will be stored in real number and the imaginary number. Then you know how to write the operator overloading syntax. Public, static, return type, that is after adding also the return type is an object which need to be returned, and we have to write the corresponding thing, that is public static return type. Operator is a keyword, operator symbol, which contain two objects of complex number 1 and the complex number 2. And what logic we have to do it? So we have to add the real part together and the imaginary part together. So for that we need a temporary variable to store the result. So I am going to create a temporary result object which contains a constructor with 2 zeros. Okay. So now I have to add the things. Result.r is equal to c1.r plus c2.r. Similarly, result.i is equal to c1.i plus c2.i. After adding, we have a return type, so we have to return the result. So that's all. Our operator overloading for addition is ready. The same thing, just I have to copy paste and I have to change it for minus symbol. Here also I am going to do with the subtraction. So first I will enable the addition operation, then I will call the remaining things. So now we need to create the object. So if I create an object only for the addition separately, then I have to create another object or new instance for button click 2, button click 3 and all. So I want to make my complex number object to be common for all the functionalities. So go to the class web form, create an object. So we are going to create an object reference. Okay. So the object reference is complex C1. So in web application or in ASP.NET, to make this object to be visible to all the functionalities inside the web form, two things you just remember. Put the keyword public. Then the important is use the keyword static. Then only this object will be visible throughout the functions available in the web form. Otherwise, we have the other mechanism like visible state or application state or session state. You can maintain the status of this object. So for simple purpose, I am making this object as a static. Then similarly, I am going to create another object, public static complex C2. So now the two objects are ready. When the button is clicked, I am calling the first object, initializing the object through the constructor by passing R1 and I1. Similarly, second object, C2 is equal to new complex R2 and then I2. So now the two objects are ready. We need to do the operation complex number 3. So we have to create a temporary object complex number C3 which having a constructor initialized with zeros. And after doing that, we write the syntax C3 is equal to C1 plus C2. Now the result I want to display. So we need to have a function to display the complex number in the form of A plus IB format. So to display the output, I am just having a client-side script with the alert message. So there I have to call the method called as display. So what I have to do is I have to write the mechanism for the display method that I have to write inside the complex class. So I'm going to put public string then display. Okay. So what I have to do, I have to check my complex number. If my complex numbers imaginary part having a negative number, then I have to display a minus ib. If it is positive, I have to put a plus ib. So based on that, I need to check a condition. So I am going to check the imaginary part. Okay, if the imaginary part is less than 0, then what I have to do? I have to return in the format of a minus ib. So what I have to do? So real number plus, then minus symbol is there, then I is there, and then followed by I. So this will display a minus bi. Suppose if it is a positive number, then you have else part, and that else part, just instead of minus symbol, I have to return plus symbol. Okay, so that's all. You have to call the display function based on the imaginary part of the complex number. You have to put a plus ib format or a minus ib format. So now the display method will be called and you are getting the answer. So just we will execute our application. Now the application get loaded. We give the real number. Then we are giving the imaginary number. Then the second complex numbers real number and followed by the imaginary number. So when I click it, so I am getting 9 plus 8i. Okay. Suppose I am giving some negative numbers. So minus 6. So now the answer should be 9 minus 4i. Yes, you got it. 9 minus. So now the minus also coming there. So what we can do is, instead of displaying the minus here, we just remove the minus. So automatically the number itself having the minus. So that minus get displayed. So again, once again run the application. It's get loading. Give the numbers 5, minus 6, 2, and then followed by 4. So now we click the button. We expected the answer is 8 minus 2i. Now what happens? 8 minus 2i, that becomes 8 minus 2 is 6 and then attached with I. So the formatting, we made some error. So here I am going to add one empty string. Now we'll just execute. Load the code, and now our application get loaded. So 5 minus 6, 3, and then 2. So now the answer is 8 minus 4i. Yes, we got it. Okay. So similarly, we add a button which will perform the subtraction of the two complex number. So I just take a button, and this button I make some space. Then I want to check the comparison. So for that also I am dragging a button. So for this button I am going to give the name. So go to this button, change the text to minus, and for this button I am going to check whether the two numbers are equal. Okay. So as you save it, go here. We added already addition mechanism, subtraction mechanism. Now we have to add the comparison mechanism. So public static return type is now not the complex object. It is a Boolean value. So we are going to set with the Boolean, then operator. The operator I want to overload is double equal, then complex C1 and then complex C2. So what we have to do, if C1 dot real is equal to C2 dot real, then we have to return true. Else we have to return false. So else part, else return false. So as you know, when you use the operator overloading, we have the error message. When the comparison operators are overloaded, it should be overload in pairs. So instead of having double equal to, I'm requested to do the not equal to also. So I'm going to just use return C1 equal to C2. Okay, so C1 is equal to C2, it's that. So whatever I got, I will just do the not operation of it. So now comparison also ready. Now we have to write the actions for the button. So we go to our button part and click here. So already C1 and C2 we got from the text box. So if I want to do at every time, you can take from the text box and do it. So already we have added, that's why I use the same object of C1 and C2. I'm going to create only the temporary object C2, that is C3, which is new complex 0, 0. Then add with C3 is equal to C1 minus C2. And to display the output, I'm just getting this and the alert box. And I go to the third button, that is the double equal to. And here I am just checking if C1 is greater than, or we use equal to. So if C1 is equal to C2, then I am going to display a message both same. Okay, both same. Both complex numbers are same. Else, okay, else then I have to print they are not equal. So I'm going to tell not equal. Okay, so now every operations are ready. We save the code, run it, the application get loaded, and we are going to give the inputs. So I'm going to put 5, 6, 2 and 3. I'm going to do the subtraction. So first I have to do addition, since in addition only I have added the code for getting the inputs. So if you want to get the input in every button click, you add that getting an input from the text box in every button click. So first I will do the addition first. And after that, I will do the subtraction. 5 minus 2 is 3. 6 minus 3 is 3. Yes, so I got the answer. Now I want to make a comparison. They are not equal. For example, I am going to give the same number. I just do the addition first. Okay, because I have returned the input getting only in the addition. So you just repeat the code in all the things, then all the buttons directly get the value from the text box. So now both are same. I hope you got an idea that how you can integrate the concepts of C# programming along with your ASP.NET web application. So here we have seen how we can execute the operator overloading concept in the web application. Thank you.